Hi guys, this video is about our job application packet assignment. So I'm going to go through this with you guys now. So one thing I will ask you to do is read through this stuff on your own as well. You can find it under week 4. We have our resume rubric, our cover letter rubric, and our assignment guideline for the whole job application package. You're going to turn in the 3 assignments here in the submission form here. And then of course you'll want to check these other things that I have listed under week 3 and week 4. But let's look at this real quick. So what is this? For this assignment, you're going to write up a resume and a cover letter for a specific job ad or internship. So what I expect of you this week is to first find a job advert or an internship advert. You can do this on Glassdoor or Indeed or anywhere else. I don't care where you find it. It needs to be in English. If it's not in English, you do need to translate it because I will be looking at it. So it's not enough just to write a good resume and cover letter, but you have to write it for a specific rhetorical situation, for a specific audience and purpose, as we learned about so far in technical communication, and as we'll continue to learn about with our readings next week on the rhetorical situation. And so, let's take an example of Spider-Man, who, his secret identity is Peter Parker, right? Peter Parker worked at a newspaper called the Daily Bugle. All right, I'm going somewhere with this, okay? If he were required to write a resume for 2 different jobs, it would look different. So let's say he's applying to a newspaper, and let's say he's also applying to become an Avenger. If he were to write a resume, let's take one of his experiences. So one experience that he has had is he worked for a newspaper. He worked for the Daily Bugle as a photographer. If you don't know, he would photograph Spider-Man. He's obviously Spider-Man, but he would do it secretly, right? And so he would have photos of Spider-Man. So if he were applying to a newspaper, he could write that he was a photographer for the Daily Bugle and for how long and things like that, right? But if he was applying to be an Avenger, that might not be necessary, right? Like, do the Avengers need to know that he worked at a newspaper? Probably not. But he did have some important skills that he gained from his work at a newspaper, both soft skills and hard skills. And those are both quite important. And so what Spider-Man would need to do and what you guys will need to do is create your resume based off of the job ad that you find or internship ad that you find. So in this ad, they know what they want. And so they're going to write what they want. So if they want you to be a team player and if they want you to know CAD and, how to, create websites or whatever, then they'll say that, right? If they want you to be a good communicator, if they want you to know how to use Excel, they'll say all those things in the job ad. And so it's your job to look at the job advert and figure out how you can take that information and put it into your resume and into your cover letter because you're applying for this specific job. And if you're applying for a lot of jobs, this is quite time consuming because you have to modify your resume and cover letter for each individual job. And the more time you put into modifying it for each individual job, the more time it's going to be, but the more likely you are to get that job. So if we go back to Spider-Man, instead of saying that he was a photographer for the Daily Bugle, if he's writing a resume to become an Avenger, he might instead say that he has experience in surveillance, right? Do you guys hear how that sounds? Like it would fit more with a superhero, Avengers, kind of detective sort of thing, right? It's like, he has surveillance experience, right? It's not just like, I took pictures of Spider-Man, right? And so when you turn in this assignment, you're going to turn it in, like I said, right here in our on our Moodle. You're going to be required to turn in 3 things: the job advert or internship advert, translated into English and copied and pasted into a document, the the resume and the cover letter. So those 3 things. You can have them in 3 separate documents, or you can have them in one single document. I don't care. Please also include the link to the job ad. So you're going to copy and paste the job ad into a document you're also going to provide me the link so I can go see the original job ad online. Okay. All right. So make sure you read through this. Now, one thing you're thinking possibly is like, what do I write? Okay. So you're not allowed to lie in the resume or cover letter. You must write what is your actual experience. And some of you might think, well, I don't have a whole lot of actual experience. That's okay. I'm going to take that into consideration. So I know that a lot of you haven't worked many jobs. Maybe you've only done a couple internships. Some of you maybe haven't even done any internships yet, but you've been part of like clubs. Others of you maybe have been in like Olympiads, or maybe you taught English to children. So likely you all have different experiences with like working for free as a volunteer. Maybe you worked for the World Expo, things like that. So you have to really start thinking, what are all the things that I've done that have given me the skills that I have as a human now? And so even if you don't have actual like a job, if you've never had a job, like a normal, like a job that you get paid for, you can still write, you can still have a section in your resume, maybe on like volunteer work or internships or, online campus activities where you're part of different clubs, things like that you can find ways to insert skills that you have. And so if the job ad highly favors a lot of soft skills, and let's say you have experience as a teacher, but you're applying to be an engineer for a company, you can still write that you were a teacher, an English teacher, even though the job ad is for an engineer position, because you can write about all the different soft skills that you gathered as an English teacher that will help you as an engineer, right? So it doesn't have to meet up perfectly in that way, but make sure that you don't lie. There are 3 things, though, that I'll let you lie about. Lie 1, if they ask you to be, if the job ad requires you to be an American or a German person or something like that, I will pretend that I don't see that part on the job ad. Okay, so if the job ad says, you must have a American passport or you must have a Argentinian visa or something like that, I'll ignore it. Okay, we can pretend that that's not there. Lie 2 that I'll allow is if they ask for a CV, a curriculum vitae, we can pretend that they're only asking for a resume and cover letter. Okay. Lie 3 is, what's lie 3? Lie 3 is, if they ask that you have a bachelor's degree, we can pretend that I can ignore that as well. So we can just pretend that they'll let you work as like a summer job in between semesters or something like that. Okay. So those are the 3 lies that I'll allow. Other than that, don't lie. Okay. Now, how will I know that you lie? I won't. But I think it's in your best interest to not lie, because if you perfect any one document in your entire life, it should be your resume. This is an opportunity to actually write your very own resume, and you're going to be working on this document possibly the rest of your life. And so it's a great opportunity to actually tell the truth and to actually try to create a document that will be useful for you. This class is technical writing is great because it's one of the most practical courses you'll ever take. But because of that, that means that you probably shouldn't lie on the job ad, okay? Job application. So that's what I'm asking for. I'm going to go into more detail about the resume, about the cover letter this week as well as next week, and it's also in our readings. But make sure you go through this. Make sure you go through the rubrics and check those on both the resume and the cover letter. Outside of all of that, if you have any questions, obviously feel free to email me and we can talk further. This week, what I think you need to do is find your job ad. So for sure this week, you need to find the job ad. In fact, this week, it might be good to start working on the resume or pull up an old resume that you have. Okay, if you already have a resume, it's okay to pull that up and then rework that for this class. So Many of you likely have a CV or a resume already, and so I don't want you to turn in what you already have. I want you to update it, change the design at least a little, change the information at least a little, and it should change depending on what job ad you pick or internship you pick. But this is a great opportunity to actually create, if you know of an actual internship that you want to apply for, then like this is a perfect time to make it an assignment in our class and actually something that you can do in real life, okay? But it's not required. So this week, come up with the job ad, find that job ad or internship ad, start working on your resume. Next week, we'll talk a little bit more about cover letters. Yeah, good luck.